And one of the favorite annoyances is protecting your gut. Now, we're all animals. We all get a little nervous standing in front doing presentations. And when we get nervous, that fight or flight instinct comes on, and we want to protect our guts. We want to protect our guts any way we can. We want to put our hands in front of our guts. We want to clasp our fingers. We want to point our fingers. We want to do anything we can to keep our hands protecting our gut. The problem is, you look afraid and scared. You don't look confident. Compare this with this. Similarly, if I have to just stand here and I don't get the opportunity to reach out to you, you want to stand with your hands and arms dangling at your side. And I can tell you that the first time you try this, it is really, really difficult because you want to protect your gut, right? You want to protect yourself. And yet, comparing this with the confidence versus something like this, where you just don't look as confident. This next one is an interesting one, and it speaks to the value of you, the audience. That we are going to try to do everything we can to make it as easy for the audience to listen as we can. So, walking in front of the light. If I walk in front of the light and I stand up a little bit here, so that you can see that I'm walking in front of it, the light hits my eyes, hurts a little bit, but more importantly, what happens to you? You wince a little bit. You can feel my pain, and you wince a little bit, right? And when you're wincing, you're not listening. And since all of this is about getting you to listen, we want to avoid doing anything we can to make it so that you're not listening. Pretty minor point. But again, it speaks to how you're doing this for them. Awkward positions. How many times have you seen somebody presenting where they're kind of standing like this? Or you have the little robotic thing going on. Everybody waiting to hear the music they're hearing. Or standing, like this, or hands in the pockets. All these may feel actually pretty good up on stage because you're nervous, but in reality, hands dangling at your sides, looking confident. I versus you. Think of your audience as a bunch of 5-year-olds. It's all about them. It's all about you. Right? Everything you do should be you. We didn't start this presentation off by saying, I saw this presentation the other day that Jerry Weissman did, and I thought it was really cool, and I just thought maybe I'd share some of it with you. No. Presentation skills you are about to receive. You can save $3,000, $5,000. You can save 3 days. It's about you. Frowning. We often get so involved in these presentations that we start to get serious. We start to drill into the people and say, you really need to understand this. But in truth, you look more confident when you're smiling, when you're happy, when you know that what you're doing is a good thing. Everyone else gets it too. And more. We all know we shouldn't be up here saying every time, Jerry Weissman did these skills and he charges such and such. It's amazing how many people do it. And the only way you'll know if you do it is by practicing. Practicing in front of the camera, practicing in front of other people. You really have to do it out loud. You have to make that practice and see if you do it. We talked about looking at slides. If we're looking at the slides, we're not looking at you. And it's about you. And it's about you. And we want to bring you into this presentation. Let's talk about the back of your hand. Oh, that was kind of out of order, wasn't it? What happens when we address points out of order? You're reading addressing points out of order. I'm onto this back of the hand thing, and you're thinking, what's he doing? What's he talking about? So don't address points out of order. Or if you are going to address points out of order, tell the audience. Say, hey, we're going to skip number 3, and we're going to talk about the back of your hand. Well, let's talk about the back of your hand. If you were going to shake someone's hand, would you shake their hand like this? Or would you shake their hand like this? When you open up your palms, you're welcoming. You welcome people in. When you show the back of your hand, it's more about protecting yourself. It's more about, that fight or flight instinct. No, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to keep my hands ready. Famous quote, did Mark Antony say, "Friends, Romans, countrymen"? Or did he say, "Friends, Romans, countrymen"? Open up the palm of your hand. So if you're going to point to your slides, point with your palm out, welcoming the crowd in, showing your confidence in doing this presentation. Don't use the back of your hand. Don't use your finger. Don't even use your finger with the palm of your hand. Extend your hand. Extend it and show your confidence. Another little point. Which side of the screen should we stand on? This is kind of like that one with walking in front of the light. It's a really minor point. If it's a large audience like this, and you're standing on this side, your left, this side of the screen, when you gesture to the screen, the audience's eyes will flow from your face, up your arm, and read across the slide. If, on the other hand, you're on this side, and I point to the screen, your eyes have to jump over to the other side of the screen and come back. Pretty minor point. But again, because it's all about you, we're going to do everything we can to get that audience involved and make it easy for them to listen to us. Now, if you're in a small group, this rule is probably trumped by a different rule, and that is the key decision maker in the room. You often hear that if the key decision maker is on this side of the room, then you want to be in front of them. And if the key decision maker is on this side of the room, then you want to be in front of him. And that's probably a good rule too. Okay, so those are some of the annoyances. But don't forget the ear. Don't forget the eye contact. Don't forget to articulate your message. And don't forget to reach out to your audience. Let's talk again about some of the content of your slides. Pictures, simple graphs, animation. Boy, these are great. These are great. They really help the understanding of the presentation. If they aren't only about understanding, sometimes they're just expressive. They're kind of showing feeling in the slides. I know that's something all of us engineers love to do, is show our feeling in the slides. And they're also very, very engaging. And you can do a lot with PowerPoint in terms of animations. This is actually an embedded Flash program you can add to PowerPoint. Here we have the sun providing energy to a solar panel, and it's producing so much energy that some of that energy is flowing back into the grid and making a greener world. So pictures can be engaging to the audience. But sometimes you have slides that are so complicated that when the audience first sees them, they're just overwhelmed. That's okay. There's two things you can do to save it. The first is give the big picture. And the second is orient the audience every step of the way. Give the big picture. So here you see the components of a residential solar system.